Hey everybody, this update's gonna probably be over a couple different weekends just because there's so much to do in the prep work. So I'm just gonna give you a real quick touch up on everything that I've done the last week or two, filling up some weld pin holes, closing out some areas, and then I'm just gonna do a time lapse showing, the prep work and then paint. So we'll see if we can get this all in one video and not take 20 minutes to do it. So let's get to the real quick updates. Again, doesn't look all that different to you guys, but there's a lot of little things done. This is a DSE crossmember. It did not have the instructions to close out this portion of the panel, but you can't see it up in here, but there's a closeout panel up in here so that the trunk is completely closed. This one goes right up against the tub, but because the tub's curved, it doesn't actually close it out all that way. So what I did is just made an 1/8 inch plate, just the same thickness as the cross member, and just closed it up from the inside, right? If you looked at it from the inside of the trunk, you'd still see a gap, but I don't really care about that because as long as dust, road debris, exhaust isn't getting in the car, I'm fine. I also closed up some of these extra holes here from where they were hanging different exhausts over the years, and then I just went over the whole car, spot welded some little pinholes, and sanded it down nice and clean. What I've already done so far is clean the garage floor, blew off the car. I'm gonna have to do that 2 or 3 more times just to make sure that there's no dust. I'm doing this with my regulator wide open so that when I go to paint, I'm not blowing dust anywhere else. Also, I might throw some screenshots in. Forgot about this, but I closed up this patch, this hole that was in the rocker panel. When I was blowing out the frame rails and the rockers, I had a whole bunch of rat's nests coming in here, so that's why I'll throw maybe some pictures in here as I'm talking. And then I closed that up, right? So welded that up, blew out the rockers, blew out the frame rails, blew out these cross members, lots of debris, stuffing from the seats, just general rat shit and everything else that the rats get into cars and make their little nests. So that's what I've been doing the last couple weekends. Alright, so I'm not going to bore you with the 3 or 4 more times or 5 more times that I'll need to do that exact same process. So just to explain for those of you that have never ever tried to prep a car for paint, it needs to be 100% clean, right? If you ever spray painted or painted anything over dirt or dust, it will come right back off later, right? So it'll just peel up. It's a lot of painters in the automotive world use duct tape to see how strong the paint adhered to a panel. Well, if it wasn't prepped and cleaned properly, that's exactly what will happen. You'll pull the paint up with duct tape, right? So this is the first round of many of me going over this car and wiping it down. What's going to happen is you see here all this dirt, right? Until I'm done wiping and there's no dirt coming off on this towel, I got to keep going, right? I got to keep wiping over it. You're going to see I was doing some things a little weird. I was kind of getting in practice. It doesn't matter on the first couple passes because it's so dirty, but you kind of wipe in one direction so that you're moving all the dirt and shit all one way, right? You also notice that I was wearing gloves, right? The oils and sweat, because I'm sweating like a motherfucker today. It's 93 today and it's about 100 in my garage. You want to make sure you're having gloves because if you have sweaty palms and you touch the panel, which I did on my forearm down over here when I was laying on the ground, all I did was contaminate that spot, right? So now I gotta clean it up again, right? So wear gloves, wipe in one direction, and when the towel's clean, you're done, right? I'm gonna be doing this 2 or 3 more times today. It's so hot I'm probably gonna call it a day because I also don't have the plastic sheeting to put up over the car. So this will be up it for today. I'll probably come back to it again, but I'm not going to bore you with the 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or a dozen more times that I've got to go over this car and wipe it clean. Even though this is the undercarriage, I need this etching primer and the bed liner to stick to it so it protects it, so I don't ever have to do this, or somebody else 20 years from now doesn't have to do all this, you know, cancer replacement of this car. Alright, that's 2 coats. I think I'm going to need a third for some of the tight spaces. I don't know if you can catch that in there. It's kind of hard to get the spray paint in there without it running. But so far so good. Just allowing it to flash off here the second time. See? That in there. So needs more. Looking pretty good over here though. That's coming out nice. Laying out nice and smooth. Yeah, third coat. Alright, now I'm done sweating my ass up. Final product, 3 coats, 2.5-ish. I didn't go over the whole thing the third time. Really no need to with etching primer. Probably should have been wearing my hood when I spray paint. A lot of the overspray kept coming back in my face, especially where the tubs were. I just don't have enough of a downdraft here, so right now I'm just using a fan on the door to create air going this way, and it works. You can see the plastic pushing this way. If I was actually painting the car like real paint job for the regular part of the car, I'd be building a booth, and Actually got everything I need for it. I got all my 2x4s over here. I'm gonna make a booth for it, roll it in when I'm done, and spray it and have it 100% clean. Because on this one, it's the undercarriage. I don't really care. I didn't really tape off the floor. I taped it off on the other side of the car, but you know, floor's a little dirty. I got some trash in the paint. I don't know if the camera can pick that up yet. I don't know. It's the undercarriage of the car. Who gives a crap, right? So all I want to do is make sure that it's not going to rust any further, and that's the reason why I used etching primer instead of an epoxy primer, because there were some areas where I just couldn't get into, you know, like these tough areas in here, right? Even with a Dremel and a, you know, wire wheel or a sanding disc, you just couldn't get in there and really make it clean metal. So epoxy primer, you could lay over it and it would have converted the rust, but you still had crustiness there. So I felt better with an acid primer, right? Acid etching primer. So, and because it's the undercarriage, I'm gonna put a bed liner on it. Doesn't matter. So there we are. Now next up, I've got to go all over the car with seam sealer once all this flash dries, and seam seal all the spots, even the areas where I cut out and welded, just to make sure, even though I went over it with pinholes and everything else, welding up pinholes, you know, there's still a chance that only sure can get in there. So I'm just gonna seam seal the whole car, all the seams, sorry. Go over the whole car with the seam sealer. Then it's time to mix the bed liner and go from there. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I'm not done seam sealing yet. It's a pain in the ass. It's hotter than hell and the bugs are eating me alive. I've got about 3/4 of the car done now, so probably gonna show the remainder of the seam sealer on the next video, as well as scuffing and doing the bed liner. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Any questions, shoot them in the comments, and see you next time.